In 1887, a doctor succeeds in bringing a dead body back to life with the aid of a vampire's supernatural powers. His scientific expertise, combined with vampiric magic, revives what turns out to be a true monster. Word of the doctor's experiment spreads among the local villagers, who arm themselves and march on the fort where the doctor's laboratory stands, determined to destroy both him and the creature. Inside the walls, the doctor revels in his triumph. He believes he has achieved something marvelous. But the vampire reveals its own sinister plan. It intends to use the creature for its own dark purposes. Horrified, the doctor confronts the vampire, demanding it stand down. The vampire refuses and slays the doctor on the spot. At that moment, the monster fully awakens. Cradling its creator, it bursts out of the lab and flees toward a nearby windmill. The doctor's assistant, secretly in league with the vampire, rushes outside and shouts to the mob, "The monster has fled into the windmill with the doctor! After them!" Enraged, the villagers surround the windmill, set it ablaze, and watch as the doctor and his creation perish in the flames. As the windmill collapses, the vampire transforms into its formidable winged form. Its 3 vampire brides appear at the edge of the clearing, weeping and wailing in despair that their master failed to save the creature. Their grief hints at a deeper bond between vampire and monster, one that is destined to be revealed in time. A year later, the renowned monster hunter Van Helsing arrives on the scene. Tasked with tracking and destroying deadly creatures, Van Helsing confronts a vicious beast in a remote town. After a fierce struggle on a rooftop, he dispatches it, letting the corpse tumble to the street below. Victorious, he returns to his order's church, where a group of priests awaits him. These priests are engaged in a holy mission to eradicate Satan's most powerful servant. They inform Van Helsing that his next assignment lies in Transylvania, where a mighty vampire reigns supreme. They explain that a young woman named Ana and her brother have waged a family vendetta against this vampire for 4 centuries, yet their efforts have never succeeded. Ana and her brother are the last of their line. Van Helsing accepts the mission, and a junior priest presents him with an array of specialized weapons. Among them, Van Helsing favors a finely crafted crossbow. The junior priest insists on accompanying him, and so the two set off for Transylvania together. Meanwhile, Ana and her brother prepare their own trap, this time to capture a werewolf, in hopes of enlisting yet another supernatural ally against the vampire king. They fight bravely, but even after a fierce battle, Ana and her brother fail to defeat the werewolf. As the creature turns on Ana, her brother intervenes just in time to save her. But the werewolf leaps onto him, and both of them fall into a river. Ana, devastated and believing her brother has died, breaks down in tears. Days later, Van Helsing arrives in Transylvania. The villagers are suspicious and unwelcoming. Suddenly, the village is attacked by the 3 vampire brides. Ana is present during the chaos, and the brides seize her, attempting to drain her blood. Van Helsing intervenes, engaging in a high-stakes battle with the vampires. It's a dangerous fight, but Van Helsing manages to kill one of the brides with his crossbow. The remaining 2, shocked and frightened, flee the scene. Witnessing the attack and the death around her, Ana becomes even more determined to kill the vampire. Despite Van Helsing's warning, she insists on going alone. Realizing the danger she's in, Van Helsing knocks her unconscious to protect her. When Ana regains consciousness, she finds herself face to face with a werewolf. But before it attacks, she realizes it's her brother. A flashback reveals that during the earlier battle, he was bitten by the werewolf before falling from the mountain. That bite cursed him, turning him into a werewolf himself, a creature that's half human, half wolf. Ana's brother explains that he's now under the vampire's control. The vampire alone holds the cure to his curse, and he's being used for a dark purpose. Just then, Van Helsing arrives, and seeing the threat, attempts to kill him. Her brother transforms into the werewolf again and flees. Van Helsing and Ana pursue him, eventually discovering the vampire's hidden lair. There, they uncover the horrifying truth: thousands of strange eggs, each one capable of hatching a vampire offspring. The vampire intends to use these to build an unstoppable army. But to bring them to life, he needs energy, specifically the life force of a werewolf.
Anna's brother, now cursed, is being used as the energy source. Some of the vampire spawn are already hatching, flying off toward the village to feed on the innocent. Meanwhile, Van Helsing confronts the vampire for the first time. The fight is intense, but Van Helsing manages to escape, taking Ana with him. Back at the vampire's lair, it's clear that the experiment is failing. Though some of the offspring are revived, most die. The vampire is furious. Using Anna's brother as a power source wasn't enough. His plan to create an immortal army crumbles. Van Helsing and Ana flee to the windmill, the same windmill from the beginning of the story, where it all began.
Where the doctor and the monster were once believed to have died. But upon entering the ruins of the windmill, Van Helsing and Ana are shocked to find the monster still alive. Weakened but conscious, the monster pleads with them. "Kill me, please. If I fall into the vampire's hands again, he will use me to bring his monstrous offspring to life. I am the only being powerful enough to sustain them. He can't do it without me." But Van Helsing refuses. He sees the monster not as a threat, but as a tragic figure, kind-hearted, intelligent, and deeply mourning his creator. The monster still clings to memories of the doctor who gave him life, and the loss still haunts him. Unbeknownst to them, Anna's brother, still under the vampire's control and in werewolf form, overhears the conversation. He returns to the vampire and reveals everything. The monster is alive. Then he bargains for his freedom. "You want to revive your offspring," he says. "Use the monster. He has the power you need. But in return, I want the cure. Free me from this curse and turn me back into a human." Meanwhile, Ana, unsure of the monster's intentions, insists they destroy him. But Van Helsing stops her. "He's not evil," he says. "We'll take him back to my country where he'll be safe. The vampire will never reach him there." Van Helsing and Ana hide the monster in a carriage and begin their journey. But on the way, they're ambushed by the remaining 2 vampire wives. An intense fight breaks out. Thankfully, Van Helsing had predicted such an attack and set a trap in advance. One of the vampire wives is killed, her body torn apart by the snare. But just as they think the danger is over, Anna's brother, still in werewolf form, attacks. Van Helsing is forced to kill him in self-defense. However, during the fight, the werewolf bites Van Helsing. He begins to feel the effects almost immediately. Pain, rage, heightened senses. The curse is taking hold. He's on the verge of transformation, but full conversion into a werewolf requires the full moon, which won't rise for 2 more days. Suddenly, the final vampire bride swoops from the sky and seizes Ana, taking her hostage. "Give us the monster, or you'll never see her again," she hisses. Van Helsing agrees, but proposes a public exchange at a nearby town's festival. Before going there, he hides the monster, believing it's the only way to keep him safe. However, the vampire's henchmen find the hiding spot and capture the monster. Van Helsing tries to escape the crowded festival with Ana, but it's too late. The vampire's forces flee with the monster, loading him onto a boat. Van Helsing gives chase, but fails to reach them in time. Worse, the werewolf venom inside him continues to spread. He feels himself slipping, barely holding on to his humanity. But the final transformation can only happen under the full moon, which is still 2 nights away. Now, Ana, Van Helsing, and the wounded monster retreat to Anna's ancestral castle. There, they examine a mysterious wall, an ancient mural that might hold the answers they desperately need. Ana explains that their ancestors studied this wall intently. It must conceal a hidden passage leading to the vampire's stronghold. Van Helsing examines the wall and notices that the lower panel is torn. He recalls the senior priest in his homeland gave him a parchment. This panel opens when the paper is affixed to it. They press the parchment in place, and the secret door swings open, revealing a tunnel straight into the vampire's palace. Inside, they captured the vampire's assistant and rush to free the monster, but their efforts fail. As he's dragged away, the monster shouts back, "Only the vampire holds the cure for your wolf curse. He keeps it safe because only a wolf can kill him."
When one comes for him, he'll inject this serum to turn you back into a human and keep you from ever becoming a wolf again. Determined, Van Helsing splits off to find the monster, while Ana and the junior priest search for the cure, an injectable vial hidden somewhere in the palace. They locate it, but the vampire's assistant locks them in a chamber and flees. The vampire's third bride soon bursts in, intent on stopping them. After a fierce struggle, Ana and the priest manage to escape and race down the corridors. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, the vampire prepares an experiment, awakening his offspring by siphoning the monster's life force. Van Helsing bursts in just as the monster is about to be freed. A scuffle sends Van Helsing tumbling backward, but the monster breaks free in a surge of blue electricity and plummets onto the vampire's wife, killing her instantly. That night is the full moon. Van Helsing succumbs to the wolf curse and transforms into a powerful werewolf. In lupine form, he confronts the vampire atop the castle battlements. A brutal back-and-forth battle ensues. Sometimes the vampire gains the upper hand, other times the werewolf. At last, Van Helsing drives his fangs into the vampire's neck, ending its reign. With its death, the vampire's unhatched progeny crumble to dust. Ana, holding the cure syringe, rushes to administer it. But the frenzied werewolf mistakes her for an enemy and lashes out. In a single tragic moment, he mortally wounds her. As Ana lies dying, she plunges the syringe into Van Helsing. Over time, he reverts to human form, collapsing beside her, overcome with grief and horror at what he's done. They carry Ana's body to the seaside and cremate her at dusk. Later, Van Helsing gazes up at the clouds and sees Ana's face smiling back at him. In that moment, he smiles too, comforted by the thought that she has reunited with her family beyond the veil.